So, of course, all the conversation coming out of the weekend, like it has been with the Cleveland Browns. And this time it has been a couple of different ways. You got Dylan Gabriel, and then you have, of course, you have Joe Flacco, 9-10, get a touchdown, 70-something yards for him. Looks good. But eventually the big conversation coming out of it, of course, is Shedeur Sanders and how he looked, where he did not look great, getting sacked 5 times, completed 3 passes, and just looked out of sorts. As did the former position you played, by the way, the offensive line as well. I mean, I don't even know who was out there at that point. I don't know if it was D. Is there a D such thing as a D6 offensive line? And D2, D3, it was D6. Because I don't know, they had him running around out there. Now, he was holding the ball longer than you would want to as well. So you don't like that. But what are you saying?
No, go.
So the larger conversation comes out of that, to me, Ephraim, and even Steve Stefanski. We had that. Kevin Stefanski. This is what he had. This has been the conversation.
Steve is his brother.
Yeah. Let me get to Kevin. Everybody had this conversation, and it's been a topic on shows, including ours. Are they sabotaging? How are they using him? Why did they use him for this 2-minute drill? And does he hear all of this chatter? Here's what he had to say.
Obviously, I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but, I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
So for me, this comes down to something that I look at it this way. Are they sabotaging Shedeur? Is there a game plan out to keep him under their thumb? And I don't think that is the goal. I don't think they purposely set out to sabotage Shedeur. But what I do think is they have no idea what they're doing, and they haven't had an idea what they're doing for 30 to 40 years. And I mean that sincerely. Respectively. Like, look at the quarterback situation they've had. Nearly 40 quarterbacks in over the last 25 years. And you look at the decisions that they've made. Of course, we go back. Let's just go back to this Deshaun Watson one. And I think Shedeur is paying for the Deshaun Watson move, meaning we went all in. We made a controversial move. We gave this guy unprecedented guaranteed money, and it backfired. He didn't play well. He was also injured, and there was also controversy that came with it. And you took the ire of society with some people saying, what about the women involved in this? They got all of that compounded with him now being injured and being out. And I think Shedeur is paying for a bit of that of we can't have any mishaps. We can't have any mistakes. And we don't want also the controversy and always having to endure these conversations. And I think Shedeur is a recipient of parts of that. But they continue historically to make bad moves, the Browns. And I look at this as they don't know what they're doing with the quarterback position. So now what you do is you bring in a guy who's 40. There have been 15 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, which have been hundreds to potentially thousands of quarterbacks over the years, over 100 years of NFL. Only 15 have been 40 and started over 10 games. About 4 have had success. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at those because they're Hall of Famers. You got Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and, of course, Tom Brady. Joe Flacco ain't that. And so I understand he brings some stability. I understand he knows the system. I'm not mad at that. But to me, it's the same conversation that Rob Parker, and I had when I'm looking at the Steelers, and you keep bringing in guys for right now, when they're not your future. And at some point, you have to turn a page and start to progressing towards your future. And you know this. There will be growing pains as you go towards your future. There will be mistakes as you go towards your future. But you have to do it. And to me, keep trying to find a Band-Aid, keep trying to put it here. Okay, we had Joe Flacco, made the postseason. Okay, we let him go. Wait, go get him back. Wait, nobody want Kenny Pickett, but go get him now. It just shows and reflects to me, including the Shedeur, including the Dylan Gabriel, because Dylan Gabriel has been fine. By all accounts, he's been fine in the locker room. He's been fine on the practice field. He's been fine in the games. And he's not even really getting the topic of the conversation. When it should be, to me, we have these 2 rookies that we're trying to figure out what we're doing, and maybe Kenny Pickett, okay, fine, and we're trying to move forward with this. Who's going to start? Who's going to be the backup? And you're moving towards your future. And to me, they come out looking more disenfranchised, more clueless of how to run this organization in that position, and putting guys in positions where they don't know what they're doing. The team doesn't know what they're doing. Shedeur thinks he's getting 2-minute drive because why wouldn't he? It's the end of the game. Go ahead and go try to win this game, kid. They don't give it to him. They're throwing somebody Huntley who has nothing to do with nothing. What was the point of that? And so I just don't get – I haven't got what they were doing in the beginning. I believe Shedeur Sanders should absolutely be a part of this roster and absolutely be a part of their moving forward. Even if Dylan Gabriel were the starter, Shedeur should be there as well. And I walk away from this even more confused about the Browns organization, the way they drafted, the way they gave Deshaun Watson money, and what they're doing.
That was well put. And let me tell you.
Okay, break it down.
What I believe is going on. All right? So you bring in Joe Flacco because you don't have a clear-cut player that you want at number one. You're not really mesmerized by any of the young players in this draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you punt on drafting a first, second round quarterback and opt for more of a developmental rookie quarterback, which you get in the later rounds, third on. You know there's about 6 or 7 kids next year will be first-round quarterback talents. You understand that. You don't expect Joe Flacco to play all 17 games. You don't expect Joe Flacco to win the division for you or anything like that. But you do expect Joe Flacco to help other young players, other young position players, receivers, tight ends, running backs, develop because he's not developing. When everybody's developing together, that's a difficult task. So you want to build your other assets up for when you do go into the market. I believe they have 2 first-round draft picks next year.
Mm-hmm.
When you do go into the market and you find the kid that you'll be watching all college that you'll want to spend a first-round draft pick on. With that said, you take Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round. You know Dillon's been in college a long time, played a lot of quarterback, and there's some talent there. You get told by ownership, hey, in the 5th round, well, when the 5th round came around, Shedeur was still on the board, you got to take Shedeur Sanders. So they take him. You wouldn't normally draft 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. It never works out well. But the mandate was sent down. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, Joe Flacco didn't play until the last preseason game because you know what Joe Flacco is.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to get him out there, knock some of the real rust off of him. And you wanted to see what the other 2 young quarterbacks you drafted had. You also went out and got Kenny Pickett in
A trade with Pittsburgh, yeah.
Just to be sure. You know you don't have a quarterback. And so Dillon Gabriel got hurt. Kenny Pickett got hurt. And so you had Joe Flacco, you had Shedeur. First game, Shedeur starts, plays. You sign Huntley to back up because no one else is left. He was never a cog in the wheel, was never going to make it. And so Shedeur goes out there and plays well. That was a great first outing in preseason. The next game, Dillon Gabriel had an opportunity. Even with a bad hamstring, he went out there and played okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shedeur had a little bit better numbers. He had more drives. But Dillon Gabriel did okay. Oblique injury, wow, okay. Can he get back from that? He does. Final preseason game. You finally let Joe Flacco go out there. Dillon Gabriel, who's a 3rd-round draft pick, plays with the 2s. And then you have Shedeur coming in with, everyone else trying to make the team. Now, the problem I'm having is if you're a 5th-round draft pick, there are very few team captains and leaders in the locker room in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
Very few in the 3rd round. So until you reach that status, you can't come in at that status. There's so much work to be done to be respected and seen in that locker room. And this is, look, off-season stuff, off-the-field stuff, the speeding tickets, it is what it is. But you also have to realize you're a late-round draft pick. No matter what you believe in your mind, the numbers are the numbers. You were in the 5th-round draft pick. They're 5th-round draft picks who've been cut for less. All right? So now you get into the game, it doesn't go well for you. Some of the same negatives that people had about you, even your fans had about you in college, are manifesting themselves. You hold on to the ball too long. There is no extending plays like that unless you have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Kyler Murray level of athleticism. He does not. Shedeur Sanders isn't that black quarterback. Okay? I'm just going to be real.
Right.
Right? So I saw as an offensive lineman, I saw some really bad sacks. Step up into the pocket. The moment you turn your shoulders the opposite direction, you're in trouble. Unless you're who?
Lamar Jackson.
You're not him. You have to know who you are and know 3-step drop, the ball must come out or you got to get rid of it. There is no other read. So there are some technical things that I saw him unable to really do. And I don't know if it was the injury or whatever. I know he wanted to make a play, but if there's no play there to be made, then you got to get out of it. Instead of third or in second and 25, you got to go second and 10.
Mm-hmm.
Scrambled. He ran out of bounds 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's a sack. All you had to do is just flip the ball past the line of scrimmage. Those type of things. And then on top of that, remember, 5 sacks. Some of those were gruesome. Could have been really bad injuries.
Mm-hmm.
As a coaching staff, I know that I want him on my roster. So what I can't afford to do is have him get hurt. Huntley goes in with 2 minutes left behind an offensive line that couldn't block for Shedeur. If Huntley gets hurt, guess what? Guess what happened 12 hours after Huntley played in that game?
Cut.
They know that. This didn't just happen.
He knows that.
They know this. The coaching, what they couldn't afford to do is have Shedeur go into the season with a real injury. Remember, he hurt the oblique. You don't want to exacerbate it, and you don't want to get something else because that's going to slow down, right, your development. Everybody was racist, and they setting him up. And what are they setting him up for? He's a 5th-round quarterback. You thought a 5th-round quarterback was going to come in unless he had the type of offseason that Russell Wilson had.
Mm. Matt Flynn.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless he did that, which he didn't. There's a lot to be worked on, but it's also your attitude. Having your own rap song come into the game, pouting and whining on the sideline when you don't go in and play. Professionalism is a real thing.
It's a real thing, and there's a lot to be desired there. And I think he, along with some other rookies, you would know, have a rude awakening of the speed of the game. What Dylan Gabriel had his, where he just said something he said before, but how it's perceived because you're a quarterback. And the NFL is a different experience, and I think they're all learning this as they go through this process right now. So, all right, let's break it up. Maybe we'll take one quick call before we get to we got Steve coming up in a little bit here. What's trending? 877-99 on Fox. I just think Shedeur absolutely has a little Caleb Williams in it that he's going to have to work out. Where, bruh, you've been good and great your whole life, but everybody else has been good and great wherever they came from as well, and you have to play the position sometimes. Similar to another quarterback up in the Bay that had something to talk about that as well. We'll get to that later on in the show. I tell you what, too, man. People, this was if you were, I don't want to say anti, but if you were maybe not a fan of the Sanders clan right now, then you had a great weekend. Shiloh being released.
Yeah, he don't have a job.
He don't have a job. Still don't know exactly where Shedeur is. Is he the third string, second? Is he backup? Is he cut? So it did not perform well. Held the ball too long. Got sacked 5 times. So he didn't have a great performance whatsoever. We know that. He had a decent one according to him, by the way, Ephraim. If you've not been rooting for them, this was definitely your weekend. We even got some texts from somebody who normally would be here too.
But even I'm sure
he was
hater
thrilled.
One.
He was thrilled.
What I was saying before we went to break is there's a level of professionalism that comes with being an athlete, a pro athlete,
mm-hmm.
and you have to earn how you feel inside. Like if you feel like I was a 7th-round draft pick, but I didn't feel like a 7th-round draft pick inside. I know something about going into training camp 4th on the depth chart and ending up starting opening day. I know the fight it takes to do that.
Right.
And you have to be open and you have to be honest with yourself. Right? Like you don't create this thing to where you feel outwardly bigger than your reality. Meaning the coach didn't put you in the 2-minute drill because he didn't want you to get hurt because you almost got hurt in the series that you played. Period. 2 minutes, and that's when they thought it was run or pass. 2 minutes, it's just all pass. And oh, by the way, the guys who were sacking him in 12 hours will be out of work. About 2,200 players will be looking for something else to do by tomorrow's cut deadline.
Mm-hmm.
A large portion of those guys sacking him will be in those 20, right? So they're trying to make a team too.
Right.
And so you have to understand that and be 100% okay with the decisions the coaches at this level are making. It's not, you can't transfer, can't go to another school. No one's going to come save you. You got to save yourself. So I would just like him to just focus on the game. Right? I felt a certain type of way at the first preseason game when he came in with his own rap song playing and the entourage and all of that. This is preseason. Opening day, that's what you got to get yourself going? Cool. Something doesn't go right in the game, do not sit on the bench and sulk. If you watch, that's what I'm looking at. You can play good and bad. It happens. Everybody. I've had terrible games. I've had good games. It happens. How you handle yourself on the sideline when those things don't go your way, everyone's watching. Your teammates, owners, fans, everyone. You sitting on the bench, head in your hands, towel on your face, arguing with someone. All of those things matter, especially when you're trying to be the face of a franchise at the quarterback position. Those are the problems I'm having.
I think there's a perception that a modified version of yourself is a complete change of yourself, meaning you're in a different environment. It's okay to switch it up a bit. Be you, because that's the most important thing in life for all of us, is to be your authentic self. However, you can modify when you're in a different situation. Right now, I'm the star of the team. You can handle yourself certain ways.
Bro,
I'm coming up in certain ways.
It's levels.
There's levels to this, and that's one thing that I think, again, he'll have to balance. Because you're not as talented as your dad.
You're not
where
your dad,
talent
man.
will allow you to do certain things. Well, they'll kind of look the other way. Like, I wouldn't have said that, but you see how good he is? I wouldn't have did that, but you see how good he is? I wouldn't have been speeding, but you see how good he is? And there's an adaptation that has to occur.